So Emilee, so this is kind of similar to the same question that I asked Stacy. How does blockchain technology and crypto assets currently impact the world now? And what do you think? Can you think of an example of a particular project and what it's doing? Or anyone, you can think of how a project that you like or a project that you're really seeing that's impacting the world that you could see really take off in the future that would work, or real use case.
I do think food chain and security, food security through transparency within supply chain will take off. I think it also will in the healthcare and life science world, just really understanding, taking control of your own health, right? Having access to your own records, being the advocate for yourself at a certain level instead of having disparate data all around.
Absolutely.
I don't have a particular example in the healthcare industry, but the supply chain for sure is already working towards that, to say how can we get small farmers, small shareholder farmers into this overall network, and we can utilize blockchain to help them along, removing some friction, removing payment, increasing access to secondary markets through that type of data. So I think that those are use cases, but there are also some fun ones, like blockchain for Audi is now a thing. So you would track all your maintenance and track everything that's been done to your car.
Yeah.
And, obviously people are investing. So I personally invest in Ethereum because there are projects on top of there. It's not just a coin. You can have voting rights with projects and do a lot of fun other things, stake it, all these other things. But those are some real world scenarios that I'm looking at in addition to the real estate space.
And it's so cool because think about when you buy a car now, you have no real clue of what happened to that car. How many accidents did it have? Did it have its maintenance? Now to be able to sell your car and have that information come with you and validate
and know that it's truthful.
Yes, that is amazing. I really like the healthcare one too. We've all been in the healthcare system at some point. But I mean, getting your own personal healthcare data, all your X-rays, all your doctor's notes, aggregate it into one digital encrypted.
Yeah, there's a lot of law behind that with HIPAA and everything.
I understand, but
so
think
I think
about
healthcare will be last.
Think about the power, and then once you have that, you can start to apply AI, because if you centralize your own personal data, then you can apply AI in various ways that cross-reference all that data and make recommendations about your health, about your preventative health, about risk factors. I don't know. I get passionate about the healthcare. I know HIPAA exists.
Okay, so
I respect HIPAA and everything.
This is what I see in
want
healthcare.
that AI on my HIPAA or on my data.
I get it. This is what I see that will probably be more realistic in healthcare. We will probably be last because I think the regulation of HIPAA and everything and privacy. People are so. That's my healthcare data. I don't want anyone to have it, especially people with mental health and issues that they don't want to do. But what I do see, which is kind of fun, is the metaverse. So I was telling Emilee, I do my CPR certification, no joke, in a janitor closet.
Oh my gosh.
There is a janitor closet. I've taken a picture of it and showed her. It's very embarrassing.
I'll add it in.
There's a CPR, add it in right now for the janitor closet. But there's a CPR dummy, there's a computer on the wall, and you just go in there and you just hammer out CPR. You do a pediatric and an adult, and then you're done. And I'm like, the metaverse, med students being able to operate in the metaverse, being able to run a code simulation, being able to do a thoracotomy, like those type of procedures should be the metaverse.
I also think tokenizing or having something on the blockchain that says you did your certificate and you did take your courses, and that always stays with you, so you're not paying for it or reaching out to a site and downloading it every time. You have it in your hands. But insurance, I do think, could tokenize faster and get on blockchain faster. You see, a hurricane from the sky hits a farm, you visually have the data that comes back to you, you automatically pay out the claim. So
what about in law?
There are so many use cases, absolutely. I mean, all of the issues certainly that you've talked about so far touch on legal and regulatory issues, whether it's privacy or the functioning of an agreement through an automatic insurance payment or what have you. I mean, all of this absolutely is subject to regulation. I think that's part of it. I think that things like identity and having a blockchain ID, akin to the idea of your medical records, you can actually have, your identity verified with access to all the information that is stored on a blockchain. Voting, all the issues that we've had with voting. I mean, there are applications that absolutely probably are ready to go today where we can accomplish identity and voting in this immutable, secure environment that would be probably less likely to have concerns with fraud and such that we've heard a lot about. But I just think that there is a long way to go before we get there. And I think part of it is the lack of regulation and the laws not being able to really know what to do with this technology and to be able to keep up. Certainly the centralized touch points really, because individuals don't all have the ability to understand how to interface and do peer-to-peer transactions without, say, an exchange or with some provider is going to help. That makes it a little more complicated. And until we instill in individuals, and I think the public, as more confidence right now, all the news we hear is bad because I think as humans, we like to hear bad news first. There's a lot of good things and good applications, but we can't get past that, I think, right now. And we're struggling with regulation because we're a little late to the game. And we have agencies who don't really have guidance and don't know what to do. And it's kind of a power grab, and a Congress who is trying to understand the issues, but we're a lot more reactive than proactive when it comes to stepping back and looking at all the positive use cases that we have. So I think the law really touches on all of these issues, and the lack of regulation and coherent regulation and the slowness that we have seen in trying to figure out how to give the public confidence, has been really challenging. And there are so many cases out there. Other countries, like Estonia has a blockchain ID system that's really impressive. France is now using blockchain technology to track emissions, for instance, auto emissions and the climate type impactful areas that are really that are and making sure people are compliant and being able to reward those who are. And there are a lot of use cases out there globally that are really making a difference. But we're having a hard time. This is a global technology. We're having a hard time, nation by nation, trying to figure out what to do with this.
But once they get it, the regulators, I think they're going to learn to love it, right? Because when I can hit a button and an audit shows all the recordation, and now they're still going into places.
Gotta love automation.
And I love automation. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse.
Did you hear in Singapore yesterday that they decided that they're going to have their own regulatory board for cryptocurrency?
Yes.
They just announced that. I just heard that yesterday.
Which is exciting. Singapore is one of the jurisdictions that really has a lot more experience.
Yeah,
and,
that's right here. Singapore and Dubai.
Better understanding. The courts have seen much more and have a better understanding of things. And so they are moving forward in that way. And this might be a model.
That's what I was wondering.
We're willing to, I mean, it is, we can't even agree on a global standard for human rights. Right. So we're really having a hard time trying to get together with everyone.
I do think it's kind of funny, the adoption of technology, when I think about it just from companies that are modernizing or going through like a digital transformation. Those that have been established for a while are very slow to make the change, where those that have been established a little later are quick on the uptick because they started so much further advanced in technology than those other companies. So I think that the most mature nations will really be the last to come around because there's so much more to get through. So Singapore and Dubai are kind of the front runners because they have.
Well, we don't want to get it wrong.
Investors coming in.
We want people to learn from their mistakes.
Well, we have things to dismantle and reorganize in order for it to happen. Where if it didn't exist, if that complexity wasn't there, it's easier to build from,
Well, I'm really glad you mentioned identity because that's by far my favorite use case. Like, as an artist, identity is everything. So it's whatever you create that becomes what people associate you with. So when you're on a blockchain, you have two options. You can be very public and follow this chained reputation of everything you've ever done, or you have this privacy route where you can come up with a username that you like, put some art out, and then never touch it again. So if you don't end up liking what you've worked or you don't like the reaction that it's caused, you can completely shift gears.
I never thought of that.
I like that.
But also, I'm really fascinated by identity because I'm only 21 years old and I've had my identity stolen twice.
What?
Wow.
Having identity on chain that's not managed by a government that doesn't know how to handle it properly may bring some opportunities where we won't see that again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, one more question, and we'll start with you, Elisha, and we'll kind of go in order. How do you think we prepare for the future of a digital world?
Oh, education.
Because it's coming. It's coming whether people are in denial or not.
I think it's education. It's really, like you said, Susan, it's getting everyone comfortable with what the technology actually is and then how it relates to them. So if I'm an artist, I need to understand what does that mean for me in my world in terms of art. If I'm in real estate, what does that mean for me in terms of real estate? If I'm in lending, what does that mean? So I think everybody needs their own little use case to grab onto to really be able to grasp how the technology works and how it could be valuable for them or add value to them. So I personally think that it creates equity among people once they understand how the technology works, and that we just have to keep spreading the good news about what it is so people aren't afraid of it. Right? So I think it's something like 70% of students have invested in, coin, right? So younger generations are already kind of used to this. It's like my kids, they know everything about technology. They don't really need me to do anything. It's just because they've grown up with it. So the more you hear it, the more you're introduced with it, the more you're comfortable with utilizing it and understanding how it could add value to you.
Well, there's not a lot to add after that. I would have said the same thing. I think education is a powerful tool in this space because there's been a lot of miscommunications about even just some of the banking stuff that's happened and the confusion about those crypto kids and that's what's happening, and that it had nothing to do with that. So I think a constant stream of education. I really like exactly what you're saying about make it personal to them, because blockchain is going to touch every single industry. So there's not any one party that can't find a relatable scenario about how their life will get easier. How their transaction will become easier and, reduced fees, and you own your data. And there's just so many examples about why this is a powerful tool for change.
Yeah. I think for me, we need to have just really great leaders in this industry, someone that's going to give positive change and just not be corrupt and do it for the right reasons. And then I also think that being able to really show real world use cases is so important. And it's really hard when everything is digital and online and a lot of things are speculation. So it would be nice to see something, I think maybe starting with a project that somebody can see more like Internet of Things. So something that is able to control all of our electric and a blockchain, and you have return of investment on it because you have it in a blockchain. I think people can relate to something that they can see first, and then then that gets their mind wondering, oh, there's so many possibilities to this. I had no clue I could do this. Oh, this problem. I think people really have to just see something first, and like you were saying, Elisha, they have to figure out what works best for them and how they can utilize it for them.
I think education is definitely the most important, and with financial literacy being pretty low across all Americans, we need to raise that so we understand where our money is going and who's benefiting from our money being held there. So I'm really excited to see a future of just more financially literate people and also media literacy too, because not understanding how the internet works is a major cause of scams. So if you're not falling for those traps, then you're safe.
I could not agree more. I mean, that absolutely well said. And education and collaboration. I mean, cross-industry discussions like this, and like people should be having cross-industry and cross-generational, right? Like you said, there are, Congress, the average age is what, even older than I am, and which doesn't necessarily mean anything. But we also have a younger generation coming up who knows a lot more than we do, and we need to listen and have everybody help us understand and have each other engage in this conversation so that we can really move things forward. I think Emilee said this is really a disruptive opportunity and the possibility to do things differently. We just have to keep an open mind and keep the dialogue open, and financial and media literacy is such a big part of it.
Yeah, I think this space is a very collaborative space. I think the education will bring more people, and more people will bring the collaborative spirit, because I've been in it 6 years and there's just no other industry that has as much collaboration. Like, everybody wants to see everybody's idea succeed and understands the technology and wants to teach each other what it's capable of or connect each other. I think it's a very collaborative space in general.
Yeah.
One thing to add to that, I think what it has allowed and what has shifted a little bit is this idea of a prosumer, where you bag your own groceries. That could be an example of a prosumer. So you go to the grocery store, but you're bagging your own groceries. The company's not doing it for you. So a lot of the projects, you are rewarded for doing work. So you do work, you code, and then you get some token, or there's some other reward. So I've not seen an industry that is that collaborative and rewarding hands-on. So it's not like, it's kind of like an apprenticeship almost. So I really enjoy that shift in mindset of the industry.
Yeah. Or, the whole, concept of Web3, where we're getting paid to look at advertisements.
Exactly.
And we're getting paid to look at something, and you aren't selling our data. We're selling you our data if we want to give it to you.
Yeah.
It gives us a little bit of controlling of what we need to do. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I love the advertising situation right now. Because, I do appreciate advertisement, right? We all know that you say something and the next thing you know, mattresses are showing up on your Facebook. And there is value to that. It doesn't drive you nuts, but I would like to choose to view those advertisements or not, rather than
absolutely
have them shoved at me.
Have more privacy.
Yeah. Well, and to be compensated for it. They were going to spend the advertising dollars anyway, so why not go direct to the consumer?
Right.
That makes more sense, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Well, anybody else have anything that they want to comment on or say?
This is a call for politicians that love blockchain.
Do better.
Do better. Yes. If you have an interest in blockchain technology and you're good at lying. No, I'm just kidding. Cut. That was just a joke. We do. We need politicians. We need
who understand it.
And it's not even just that, but if you think about what happened to infrastructure, a long time ago, we fell behind on infrastructure because we had politicians that didn't understand the value of that infrastructure.
Yeah, well, I just want to thank all of you, Elisha, Stacy, Emilee, Susan. You guys have been great just talking about your experience and your expertise in the area, because you definitely add some value into the space. So I was excited to chat with you guys. I hope we do it again soon. And we'll be more prepared next time, and we'll have more of a better topic. We can practice it in advance. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Continuing the conversation for sure.